with work and the start of the holiday season, and I had a death in the family, and then I also was going through finals, so I just felt like I had literally no time. But the funeral that I attended has passed. I finished school, and so I feel like I can breathe again and focus on filming, so here we are. I am going to be filming a story time video for you about my travels out of state to this funeral that I attended, because it was literally a absolute disaster of an experience. So I personally love story time videos and just listening to people be real and share their experiences. So I'm going to be filming that here soon, but on top of that, we are getting back into our regular true crime videos. So into our regularly scheduled programming, we will be kicking it back off with our regular true crime. So today we will be talking about the unsolved cold case of the murder of Missy Bevers. This is one of the most eerie unsolved cases of modern times, in my opinion. So let's jump into it together. Just before 4 in the morning on April 18th of 2016, Missy would leave her home in Red Oak, Texas, and drove to the Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, which was around 20 miles away. That morning, she would arrive to church a little bit before 4:30, and it happened to be pouring rain. The reason she was going to the church so early in the morning was so she could set up one of the rooms there for her early morning Camp Gladiator class, which normally kicked off at around 5 in the morning. Missy was a fitness instructor, so this is where she would host this particular class. But little did Missy know that that day in particular would not be like any of the others leading up to that moment. Just before 5 a.m., the boot camp attendees began arriving. When they entered the room where the Camp Gladiator class was supposed to take place, they found Missy lying on her back, having been beaten and bludgeoned multiple times. Now, this is absolutely a traumatic sight to walk upon, and in an absolute panic, these people that come across her body call 911, as I think most people would do. The paramedics and emergency services rushed to the church, but unfortunately, it was too late by the time they arrived, and Missy was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, when police and detectives arrived on the scene to, start to piece together what happened, it was clear that Missy had been a victim of murder. And their first suspicion church owners checked the building and all of the belongings they had a record of, it appeared that nothing had been stolen. Missy was also still wearing her wedding ring, so that being such a valuable item and still remaining on her person, they quickly ruled out that robbery was not the motive. But if robbery was not the motive, what was? At that point, investigators learn that they have an element of security footage on site at the church, and so they go ahead and take a look at it. And when they watched the footage, they were absolutely shocked by what they saw. But I'm gonna put a pause there and not go right into the footage. Prior to retrieving this security footage, the police would do a search of the entire church and the premises, and that investigation would reveal that many windows were broken and that the main door had been smashed through, which in their opinion meant that Missy's murderer was already in the building when she arrived, and this person was waiting for her to come. Okay, so let's talk about the footage. So when police sat down to review the security footage, their suspect would be revealed to an extent. At around 3:50 in the morning, this footage captured a person wearing full police tactical gear or SWAT gear breaking into the church. This person, who was the suspected murderer, was masked in a full black helmet and was seen wandering the church. According to investigators, they describe this footage as being very eerie because this person on the footage just very slowly and calmly wanders the dark hallways of the church, casually opening doors and then occasionally smashing windows with a hammer that he had in his hand. But other than those moments of aggression, he moved so deliberately and controlled throughout the old church, it really would raise the hairs on the back of the necks of the people that saw this footage. Based off the footage, this person was estimated at being somewhere between 5 feet tall and 2 inches, or up to 5 feet 7 inches, but the sex of this person could not be determined from the footage. But what they noticed is that whether or not the person inside this full police tactical gear outfit, whether or not they were male or female, they had an unusual limp that made, because of the way that their feet were positioned slightly outwards when they walked. Now, on the security footage at 4:20 in the morning, Missy is seen entering the church and making her way to the classroom, completely unaware of the mysterious person moving around through the building. Within just a few minutes of arriving in the darkened classroom, Missy would then be assaulted and beaten to death. Further footage around the church showed a 2010 to 2012 Nissan Altima or Infiniti G37 stopping at a parking lot near the church in the hours before the attack, but that car did not stay long in the area, and the owner had never been identified of that vehicle. Witnesses saw a dark-colored SUV driving from the church around 4:30 that same morning, but the driver was never identified, and they were not able to get any more concrete information. And it's sad because, according to police, either one of those drivers of the vehicles very likely could have been the killer. But because they did not have enough information to track them down, they were never able to move those leads forward. Now, with there not being really any other leads, the police focused their attention on Missy's husband in the weeks that followed her murder. Her husband, Brandon, had been having some troubles in his marriage to Missy due to ongoing financial issues and some other challenges in their relationship. Sadly, police would reveal that Brandon was a suspect in relation to this case, which caused the press to run with that and kind of do some damage and tarnish his name. And the same thing happened on social media, and people on social media kind of did the same thing and would just blame Brandon left and right for her murder, even though there really wasn't any concrete evidence to be able to do so. And after a year-long investigation, police would conclude that Brandon was not involved in Missy's death, and he had an alibi that they were able to prove that he was away fishing in California when she was killed. Throughout their investigation, they were able to also rule out any direct or indirect family members of Missy, and so they were really struggling to identify who should be held responsible for this murder. And so it began to raise questions. Most importantly, and I think the most obvious, is who had killed Missy. There was a moment in time where Brandon's father had been looked at as a suspect because he had taken a blood-soaked shirt to a dry cleaner in the area days after the murder. He claimed he had broken up a dog fight, and as you can imagine, the police confiscated this shirt and tested it, and it turned out he was telling the truth, and it really was not human blood on the shirt. So he was immediately ruled out upon having that testing done, and I think personally most killers are not dumb enough to take a bloody shirt to the dry cleaners right after a murder happens, but you never know. So again, at this time, police are looking everywhere for clues, and they decide to take a look at her social media accounts and see if anything would pop up. She was active on the LinkedIn application website, which is a social networking site for professionals, essentially. And when investigators went through her phone and computer and her accounts, they did find that she had been communicating with a man for approximately 3 months prior to her murder. And they did say that these messages were considered flirtatious in nature. This man was interviewed by police and admitted to having a friendship with Missy, but was ruled out as a suspect because of where he lived and his location, and there was nothing tying him to that area when the crime occurred, and he did have an alibi for the night, I guess, leading up to the murder and early that morning. Missy did tell friends, however, in the days leading up to the murder that she was receiving very creepy and strange messages from a man she did not know. The final message was sent 3 days before the murder, but police have never released the details of the message, and it remained unclear if the sender was a suspect or just someone who was trying to mess with Missy. So earlier I mentioned that witnesses saw a dark-colored SUV, and down the line, investigators were led to former police officer Bobby Wayne Henry as a potential suspect because he owned a dark-colored SUV and still had police tactical gear in his possession despite being fired from the police force in 2017 for sexual assault and possession of child pornography. However, despite these kind of circumstantial pieces of evidence, Bobby was several inches taller than the person in the security footage, which ruled him out because, according to police, that was hard evidence and irrefutable. Now, with respect to this tactical police gear the suspect was wearing in the footage, it was so effective that not a single analyst was able to confirm without a shadow of a doubt if the person was male or female. However, they did lean toward saying that it was a male due to the fact that the way that this person was walking with their feet, as well as that the murder weapon was a hammer. And according to criminal psychologists, female killers rarely use objects that require strength to kill, and historically prefer methods such as poison, and so they felt fairly confident that they could make the argument that the killer was a man because of the murder weapon, which I think is very interesting. Now, as you probably know, because this has fallen into the realm of the unsolved case, a cold case in true crime, many people will come up with a bunch of different theories as to what happened. Many people do believe still that this was a robbery gone wrong, but again, nothing was missing, so it's personally hard for me to believe that the intent of this was to rob the church. On the security footage, the killer is moving through the church opening various doors and passes by many others that they don't bother to check, and that led police to believe that they were looking for something or someone specifically. Also, the casual walk of the person seen in the footage goes against the robber burglary stereotype, who generally move very quickly to get a hold of what they're trying to steal and then get out before they get caught. So again, to professionals, none of the actions make this person out to be a burglar. According to most professionals, this most likely overall was a targeted homicide, and that the killer deliberately chose to kill Missy, knowing that she would be at the church alone at such an odd hour. A lot of people knew that Missy was a fitness instructor, and she shared a lot of that publicly, both on LinkedIn and Facebook. And so these were public details to a lot of people, and if you are on either Facebook or LinkedIn, you probably know that you see posts of other people because you have similar interests or you have mutual friends, and so it's really not hard for people to see your information if you're so public. And she shared so many details about her profession and where she would be teaching classes. It would be easy for anybody to know where she would be at certain times throughout the day. And again, she told her friends that she was receiving very creepy messages, and so it's possible that maybe she had a stalker in the making, and it wouldn't be too hard to learn a lot about her and find her. Also, because she was a fitness instructor, that means she also met a lot of random members of the public, which could mean that she encountered the killer at some point in her career. You know, the killer could have had a thing for Missy, and perhaps she rejected that person along the way and decided to kill her out of revenge, but that only remains a theory. It seems unusual that a case like this would not be solved, given that they had such clear security footage and witness statements regarding vehicles and the names and locations of all of Missy's current students. But what really sets this case apart from so many others is this detail of somebody wearing SWAT gear. Now, we know that it's not the first time somebody has disguised themselves when committing a murder, but the choice of wearing full police tactical gear is not a typical choice. The person that killed Missy still remains a mystery, and the motive behind it remains a mystery as well. It's unusual and creepy that there is so much evidence to go on, but so little progress over the years. Investigators referred to the killer as a maniac cop, even though it's not actually proven if this person actually was a cop, but he has been referred to as the maniac cop given his horrific actions and what he chose to wear. Detectives continue to investigate the Missy Bevers murder, and her husband, Brandon, was quoted saying, I have faith that this will be solved. I just don't know when, but the longer it goes on, the harder it is. Missy and Brandon had 3 children together by the name of Allie Bevers, Hannah Bevers, and Sarah Bevers. And just a little bit of information about Missy. Shortly after their first daughter was born, she decided that she would be a stay-at-home mom and left her job working in special education. As their 3 children grew older, Missy then decided to start a career in fitness, where she would eventually become the well-known instructor that she was at the time of her passing. Missy was described by many as a small-town girl who was a beacon of light to everyone she met, as well as being known to love helping others. To most of her fitness clients, she was more than an instructor. She was a leader, an encourager, and the person who helped them believe in their ability to change their life for the better. Her outward appearance is not what her husband, friends, and broader community remember or speak about when they remember Missy, although she was a very beautiful woman. But they point to her heart, her compassion, her ability to inspire, and always see the best in others. It was those traits, according to witness statements and just testimonies about who Missy was, that helped her during her years as a special education teacher, when she parented full-time, and as well in her career as a fitness instructor. Although this is a cold case, Missy's family continues to look for answers and will never give up, hoping to find out who took the life of this beautiful woman, inside and out. Thank you for joining me on this video. Please let me know what you think about this case. For me personally, my mind is stuck on the fact that Missy was receiving very creepy text messages, and to me, I think that that is a really strong lead, and it's unfortunate that despite the evidence the police had, they were not able, or as of now, have not been able to determine who the killer is. Thank you, and check out the comments below to see the 3 cases I would like to cover soon, and please vote below.